So we got a new installment to the Fast and Furious saga with Fast X. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So I was able to check out Fast X over the weekend, and I just gotta say I'm still one of those people that enjoy Fast and Furious saga. Like I enjoy every movie for the most part. Of course, there's some better than other ones, but for the most part, I have enjoyed every movie for the most part and things like that. I've been seeing I almost saw basically been seeing every movie in theaters. I go in theaters to check out each movie basically since Fast Five. Fast Five was basically my first time watching a Fast and Furious movie in theaters. I have seen the other ones, like I've been there from the beginning. Like I saw Fast and the Furious whenever it was around at the beginning. Like I rented it out, and like basically the first four I was able really to see in theaters. But like I basically rent whenever it was able to rent out. I was definitely right there first to rent it out and watch the movie each time. So I've enjoyed this saga from the beginning, really, basically from the beginning over these past 20 plus years now. And like I said, basically been checking out every movie in theaters since Fast Five. This one was no exception. This one was definitely going to be one I was going to be checking out in theaters and watching it. And I got to say, first off, this one feels like a sort of return to form. Now, when it comes to me in the Fast and Furious movies, I think the height of the Fast and Furious franchise or saga, as they call it, is basically five is regarded as basically the best one in the series to most people. But like the height of Fast and Furious, I think is like five, six, and seven right there, with number eight and nine kind of dwindling down a little bit for me after that. But I think this one, when it comes to, I think this one kind of returns to form when it comes to that height of five, six, and seven for me. At least for me. I don't know for about other people, but I feel like it's kind of a return to form to like the years of five, six, and seven. I think this one does a great job with just action and and it's basically this one is a popcorn movie. It's a popcorn blockbuster movie that you just go see to have fun. Don't have to think too hard about it and things like that. Just go watch it for what it is. Have fun with it. And actually, been seeing some people. I saw a couple of people be saying that this one feels like it's a sort of Infinity War type level kind of film. And it's not to say that it's as good as Infinity War, but when you watch it and you kind of compare it to the way it plays out, to the way that they're setting it up, to where this one is a first part in like now supposedly three-part trilogy of the finale of the end of the whole saga, this end of the whole franchise, that this one plays out as sort of the first part in a three-part sort of finale. And you kind of feel that with this one. Like it does feel a little bit like along the lines of Infinity War, like people were saying. And like I said, I'm not saying it's as good as Infinity War, but the way it's set up as this first part and a three-part final part finale, I could see what people are saying. Like it does kind of feel like that the way it's set up. Then where you have like the family in the beginning together, and then you kind of have this villain that just comes in and just separates them and wreaks havoc throughout the whole movie. Like he's attacking like the family. The Fast family is separated throughout the whole movie, most of the part. And throughout mostly the movie, and you see this villain in Jason Momoa where he's just wreaking havoc. He attacks this part of the family that's on this side of the globe. He attacks another part of the family that's on this side of the globe. He goes after Dom a lot. He goes after another part of the family and stuff. And you kind of feel that. It definitely feels like on par with some of the setup from Infinity War 2 to similar to what this movie is playing out. The family's kind of separated. They're on their own basically, and they're trying to rendezvous, meet up again. But they had to overcome some obstacles in between trying to do that. The villain of Jason Momoa is wreaking havoc across the globe to each one separated part of the family at a time, going after Dom mainly because he's trying to take revenge on Dom. But since he has family, he's going to take revenge on the family, also the Fast family, because they basically helped him. And y'all already know if y'all seen the trailers, y'all know who Jason Momoa's villain or the character he's playing. He's playing the son of the villain, or somewhat villain of Fast Five, who they stole the vault from. They broke into the bank, whatever it was. They stole the vault of that one guy that basically was running Brazil, and he got killed and stuff like that. And y'all know, if y'all seen the trailers, that this is Jason Momoa. He's playing the son of that guy, basically taking revenge out. This is basically a revenge story, taking revenge out on the Fast family. So one thing I like about this movie is Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa, like I said, plays the villain, and he brings his charisma. He brings his charm, that Jason Momoa charisma and charm that he has. He brings it to this film. And one of the things you could tell when watching this film, like he's funny, he's psychotic, he's just overall over the edge. Like he just wreaking havoc. He's on a war path. He's on a revenge path, and taking revenge out on the Fast family and Dom for what happened in Fast Five. And watching this movie, you could tell that Jason Momoa was having fun with this role. He really was. Like, I gotta say, this is one of the funniest villains. He's definitely in contention from being one of the best villains in the Fast Saga, in my opinion. And you could just tell with Jason Momoa, he was having a lot of fun with this role. He just brought his charisma, he brought his charm, he just brought it to this movie, and it was just so memorable, and it just was fun seeing him on screen in this movie and just doing what he was doing, taking revenge on a warpath, destruction, wreaking havoc, everything like that. And it was just fun to see him on screen. It's fun to see him in this movie. Like Jason Momoa was definitely, I definitely say he's one of the best villains of the Fast Saga overall. And it was definitely fun seeing him on screen. He played such a great part in this movie, and it was just a lot of fun seeing him. And he messed people up. I'm saying he wreaked havoc. He was on a warpath, like I say. He was taking revenge on the Fast family. It was all over the place in this movie, and you can see how much he was having fun with his role, and it just was so awesome and fun to see him on the screen. Like, he just brought a lot of presence to his movie and stuff, and he really is at the forefront of this movie. You could just tell how he was having fun with this role. I liked a lot of elements of this movie to where it's definitely action packed. Like I said, I think with this movie, if you were a Fast Furious fan before, let's say you were a Fast and Furious fan, to where I was talking about where 5 and 6 and 7 were kind of like the height of the Fast and Furious saga. If you were like a fan of those movies, and I think that this movie is kind of returned to form to that, so it could bring you back. Like, let's say you were a fan of those movies like 5, 6, and 7, and 8 and 9 kind of dropped off for you maybe, and you just kind of gave up on the Fast and Furious franchise or saga overall. I think if you watch Fast X and not really and kind of disregard the Fast and Furious 8 and Fast and Furious 9, if kind of just take those out of your mind and think of this movie as more of a continuation of 6 and 7 or 5, 6, and 7, like taking place after that. And I think this movie could probably bring you back. I don't know if it'll bring back original fans necessarily if you're like a fan of the first couple ones, and then you just feel like after 5 and after 6, whatever, so on, that gets ridiculous. I don't know if it'll return those kind of fans, but if you're a fan of 5, 6, and 7, and 8 and 9 dropped off for you, I think this movie will kind of make you return to watching it. It's like I said, it's kind of return to form. And I think fans who are, if you're a fan of 5, 6, and 7, and I think this will kind of bring you back in if you check it out. So like if you happen to be a fan of 5, 6, and 7, and 8 and 9 dropped off for you, give this one a chance. If you're questioning on whether you should watch this one, I suggest that give this one a chance. At least watch it, and it might bring back that vibe for you. It might bring back that vibe for you from 5, 6, and 7. It might make you come back and try to watch it. Like I said, this one definitely feels how people were saying Infinity War kind of type of vibes, where it's like a setup film. This is definitely a setup film to where it's a first part in a now 3-part finale, supposedly they said. It was originally going to be 2-part finale, but now they basically were saying at the premiere that they're trying to get a third movie out. So this is basically like a first part in a 3-part finale to the saga, supposedly. So let's see if that actually happens or not. But like I said, yeah, definitely. As far as Infinity War vibes, I think it definitely just gives that the whole movie, the way it was like the villain was wreaking havoc throughout the whole movie, basically. Having the family separated in different times, and just the way it ends too. It ends up on a cliffhanger. I'm not really going to say how it ends or anything like that, but don't really want to give too much spoilers away. But it does end off on a cliffhanger. There is a mid-credit scene, only just a mid-credit scene, so you don't have to stay all the way to the after credits. There's only one mid-credit scene in the middle of the credits. But the way it ends, it just ends off on a cliffhanger. Basically the same war, almost similar. Basically, Infinity War wouldn't say it was kind of a cliffhanger, but like it was kind of like ending to a story of sorts, but like at the same time sort of a cliffhanger. This one's kind of similar. It feels the same way. It ends off on a cliffhanger. So basically, it does feel like a first part and a finale, to where it sets up stuff, and then we're going to get conclusion to other stuff in the other movies. That's basically how it feels with this one, to where it's like you feel that, like it feels like it's a beginning part. It feels like it's the beginning part of the end. Basically, that's what it kind of feels like. But like I said, this one has the action. This one is a popcorn blockbuster movie, just like all the other Fast and Furious movies. But I feel like this one is definitely a return to form when it comes to the height of like 5, 6, and 7. This one's definitely a return to form for me, at least for me, in my opinion. It returns to form to those movies, to those earlier movies. So like, if you're a fan of those earlier movies and you dropped off at 8 and 9, I suggest you give this one at least a chance. And it might bring it back in. I don't know if it'll bring back original Fast and Furious fans back in, but if you're like a fan of 5, 6, and 7, and 8 and 9 did not work for you, give this one a chance at least. This one might bring you back in. And like, if this really is the finale, I think it's a setup to a great finale. Honestly, in the Fast saga, I like a lot of things they're able to do in this movie. A lot of great action, a lot of great setup pieces, and things like that. I think this was a lot of fun to watch in theaters. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed myself having a blast watching this movie in theaters, and I think most people will too. You know, I think it was a great one. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. Jason Momoa is a great villain. A lot of great things in this movie, honestly. But if you did happen to check out Fast X, let me know down in the comments below what were your thoughts on it. But that'll do it all for this video. Hope you all enjoy. Remember, if you want to be part of Team Legendary, all you gotta do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day, and remember, be legendary.